Welcome back. Still practicing Hardy-Weinberg problems, and they've given us a new trait to work with called phenylketonuria. This is a recessive trait, and it's a defect where you don't produce an enzyme that breaks down the amino acid phenylalanine. If you don't break it down, it can build up and cause brain damage. And so the normal condition is that you have this enzyme and you're fine, you don't have phenylketonuria. And the recessive condition is that you don't produce the enzyme and then you have a problem. What happens is you have to avoid foods that have phenylalanine in them. I don't think there's any way to substitute the enzyme, so you just have to watch your diet really carefully. And what we're doing here is big E for normal. You might reasonably ask, why am I using the letter E for phenylketonuria? I didn't want to use capital P and lowercase p because they look a little bit too similar. Also because this formula already has P in it and I don't want to create any confusion there. So I'm using E for enzyme. I just made that up. And big E good, little e potentially harmful defect. So P squared represents the people who have the normal dominant allele twice. 2PQ represents the people who have one of each. And Q squared is the people who are double recessive and actually have the PKU trait. And they say 1 out of every 10,000 kids is born with phenylketonuria, meaning Q squared is 1 out of 10,000. 1 out of 10,000, or if you do 1 divided by 10,000, you'll find the decimal form of that is 0.0001. So that's our Q squared. And what they're asking for is what percentage of the population would you expect to be heterozygous for the PKU allele, meaning this group here. To find this, we need P, which we do not have, and Q, which we do not have, although we're close. So let's get to work on this. This number, the 0.0001, is our Q squared. So we can start our math by saying Q squared is 0.0001. Now, we don't want Q squared, we want plain old Q. So we want to get the square off of this. And as you probably remember, the way you unsquare something or strip a square off it is you square root it. The square root is like an anti-square. When a square and a square root meet, they just annihilate each other. And that leaves us with plain old Q on the left side. On the right side, we get an operation which we can actually do. On your calculator, you can do square root 0.0001, and you get that Q is 0.01. So good, that's one of our values. Next thing we need is P. And the second Hardy-Weinberg formula tells us that P and Q always add up to exactly 1. So if Q is 0.01, P is 1 take away 0.01. This is like me and you together have to come up with $1, and I've brought 1 cent. What does that leave for you? $1 minus 1 cent means you have to contribute the other 99 cents. Okay, so there's our Q, good. Here's our P, good. Now that we have those, we can go up to the formula and find anything they want. Let's do one more color switch here. If they wanted the people who are double dominant, we'd do 0.99 squared, but they want the heterozygous people, and they are found by 2 times P times Q. 2 times 99 is 198, times 0.01 is 0.0198, or if you multiply that by 100 to get a percentage, you'll get 1.98%. So just under 2% of people are heterozygous for this. They're carriers for the PKU trait, but they don't actually have it. 0.01% or 1 out of 10,000 actually have the PKU trait, and that would leave, what is it, 98.01, I believe, percent of people who are big E, they're they don't have this trait and they don't carry it either.